late night around 2 out on Kalamazoo. Roach the blunt, then I pull another joint out the tube. I'm straight smoking till my lungs feel broken and bruised. Then stay strolling till there's holes in my Converse shoes. A short fuse, so I choose not to speak to many. That's why the night's so tight. When the streets is empty, there's just fiends and the bushes and the freaks like me. Until this night in moonlight, what a sight I see. She be a gothic queen, black hair and her lips match with her black nails. Double take till I get whiplash. Thick gas got me thinking, shit, I gotta hit that. Quick, fast appears by my ear, how she did that. Sink back and she's speaking on some big facts. Asking about my name and she wonder where the crib at. Bring her back, no words, just teeth in my neck. Damn, I can only be so erect. With her teeth in my flesh, she possessed my soul. Let it leak on my neck from the pierced red holes. Like a leech seeking death, she can beat my doom. And she be so smooth in the light of the moon. With her teeth in my flesh, she possessed my soul. Let it leak on my neck from the pierced red holes. Like a leech seeking death, she can beat my doom. And she be so smooth in the light of the moon. I wake up from what felt like a bad nightmare, wrapped in bloody bed sheets with some sweat-soaked hair. I had to throw up my guts on the way to the stairs from feeling all fucked up in the seeing in pairs. Walk by the altar's mirror, no reflection. I question reality and all existence. There's only two options, one soul possession, the other's tripping balls from some drug experiments. I better make some coffee, I gots to clear shit. Shake this up off me and persevere this. My skin's so awfully froze, my temps hit cold as a corpse in the morgue. I'm so sick, I'm feeling hopeless. I fall to my knees, then she shows back up, standing right above me. Puts my teeth to her wrist, holds my head and says feed. Feel relief when her blood hits my lips in a stream. With her teeth in my flesh, she possessed my soul. Let it leak on my neck from the pierced red holes. Like a leech seeking death, she can beat my doom. And she be so smooth in the light of the moon. With her teeth in my flesh, she possessed my soul. Let it leak on my neck from the pierced red holes. Like a leech seeking death, she can beat my doom. And she be so smooth in the light of the moon. Goddamn, some way now I feel okay. 4 a.m. and I'm back out on MLK. Slow flow through my veins like my blood stays still. No pulse, new fangs and my skin all chilled. Real spill, got a crave for the taste to kill. I put my face to her neck, let it drain and fill. My cheeks up with the blood, give a smile and swish. Drink it up, not a drip in the bitch I miss. Finish up in a ditch with her body stiff, dried up, all shriveled in convulsion twist. Take a look at the time and it's almost 6. I better get home before the sunlight hits. So I wrap up the night like a tourniquet, because the sky seeing light starting to burn and shit. Head back to the crib where the darkness is, and cuddle up to my newfound vampire bitch. With her teeth in my flesh, she possessed my soul. Let it leak on my neck from the pierced red holes. Like a leech seeking death, she can beat my doom. And she be so smooth in the light of the moon. With her teeth in my flesh, she possessed my soul. Let it leak on my neck from the pierced red holes. Like a leech seeking death, she can beat my doom. And she be so smooth in the light of the moon.
Welcome to the Occult Rejects. And in this episode, we got a party going on. We got Chi7d Ninja with me. We got the Headless Giant. And special guest, I guess co-hosting, we got Donut on. So what is up, Donut? Let everybody know, since it's your first time on the show, I gotta let you go first. Let everybody know what your deal is and what you're about.
Oh, yo, what up? It's Donut. I usually bring the Illuminati news, but thank you for having me out here on the Occult Rejects. Big fan, been watching for years, and straight Juggalo for life consecutively. Last 36 years, been Juggalo of the year. So it's been nice. I like to get into secret societies, the occult, and whatnot. And being a Juggalo, I do like to look into that as well. Ever since I got into it, I've always been like questioning it because I like it so much, so it's good.
Hell yeah. And I would say, for the listeners that I have, if you don't know who this guy is, I would highly suggest to go check out his stuff, because if you like my show, I would think you're going to get something out of his. So if you haven't heard of him, go check out Donut, and I will put all his links in the bottom as well. Chi7d Ninja, what is up, buddy? You want to say, hey, what's up, and let all the new listeners know who you are?
Sure. So thanks, Nick, for having me on. This
Of
is
course.
I don't remember what number, maybe our eighth Magi behind the mic. We're working our way up there. So I've been on every one. I have my own show, Threshold Saints. I just dropped an episode on Michael Hoffman and sort of reality of Kabbalah or nature of
Nice.
Kabbalah. And so that just dropped today. And yeah, we've got Nick and I are working on some other series, and we've got lots coming up on Reject. So
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
everybody check it out.
And my boy Headless Giant. Let everybody know what your deal is, please, sir.
What's up? I thought I'd bring a little bit of the Orphic flair by wearing the toga again, getting into the party spirit. I think, magic and music go hand in hand, so it's time we break it down.
Love it. Love it. And finally, the guest himself. First off, I want to say what's up. I forgot. Plus, I'm not going to put the guy's name out there. But we actually had a listener. Someone who's been listening to the show for a while actually knew Bambam and told him about us, and he checked us out, and he was like, yo, you got to get me on this. So it's pretty cool how, like, a listener actually hooked me up and got this dude on, you know. And the funny thing is, it's like I would have been nervous hitting him up, asking him to come on, you know, if I had to do it on my own. So it worked out great. We lost Headless. So Bambam, let everybody know what your deal is and, like, you know, what's up.
Well, my name is Bambam the Voodoo Child. I'm a horrorcore artist out here in Lansing, Michigan. Right now, Lansing, Michigan. I've lived all over the fucking place, from North Carolina to Pennsylvania to Canada to fucking all over. But currently, I've been in Lansing now for about 8 years, I believe.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, for a long time, I was doing group shit. So the past about 2 to 3 years, I've kind of been reborn doing solo shit again, going back to my roots. And the past year, things have gone pretty crazy with it. It's been pretty dope.
Awesome. Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, and you've been around for a minute. Like, even when I was on your channel, I was like, yo, this guy's got some old stuff. Well, yeah. I think, you know. Yeah. All right. I guess, you know, even like just mentioning that you've been around for a while. When was it actually? Did you actually like start getting into this?
Performance-wise, I'd say I think it was 2010 where I first started going on stages. But I've been doing music my entire life. Like, there's times when I still live with my grandma, and I was gone from her when I was like 5 years old, and she talks about me being on the phone, like making lyrics with my friends and shit like that. Not even knowing what the fuck I was doing. Like, no instruments, no beats, no recording, just pretty much looping lyrics, and I'm on the phone back and forth with them. And then it ended up when I was in school, I had like a little crew that I ran with, and we recorded shit on, like, at one point it was cassettes. At one point it was those little like voice message tape things that they used to have back then. When we could finally get it onto actual CDs, it was like our heads just fucking exploded because we had never need nothing like that before. But so yeah, it's been something I've always done, really.
That's cool, man. Wow. All right. What, and this is, I'm going to try to ask this, I guess, in a specific way, and I'm not trying to knock anybody else. It's just that some other guests that I've had on the show, there seems to be this disconnect, and I just end up getting left with, like, how did you actually ever start getting gigs, though? It's just like, yeah, I started writing raps, and before you knew it, I was on chapter 17. I'm like, all right, well, how'd you get there? So I guess, like, when you first started doing your stuff, how did you try to even get yourself? Like, was there a lot of self-promotion, too, in the beginning?
At the beginning, not so much, because I really didn't know what I was doing at the beginning. At the beginning, I was recording in a closet, and it was back during, like, my just party days with all my homies, and I used to literally just make music that we'd listen to when we got fucked up together at my apartment. And so, like, it wasn't like I was really even trying to market it all that much and shit. But then it was, I ran into this dude back in the day. Like, if you saw my channel, you probably saw at one point there was this group, Cannibal Disciples, I was with.
Yes.
And I ran into this dude, Cannibal Carib, who was taking it very seriously, riding out to professional studios, doing shit like that. And he heard just some of my random CDs that I've been putting together with my friends. And he's like, I want to get you in the studio. And next thing you know, we were recording projects together. And we started off, some of his boys were like, we need to get you guys performing at a mini gathering, which we did in Canada. It ended up being one of my first shows. And then from then on out, he just kept on getting more and more plugs. And I was just like along for the ride at the beginning for the most part, like, fuck it, here we go.
Wow.
So if it wasn't for
Alright.
him, who's to say I'd even be taking it seriously now? Because literally it was just like get fucked up with my friends and look what we can do.
Yo, that is. I mean, I guess like when I was in a band in high school, I mean, I don't think I mean, yeah, of course we're like, oh, we're gonna make it one day, but it really was just like we were just getting stoned and wanted to jam out. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, that's cool though. How when they wanted to start taking it serious, did you get nervous or scared at all about that? Actually,
I mean, not so much, because at the time, back when Carib and I were doing shit, Facebook was a lot less tight as the way it is now. Like, we dropped our first video, and it pretty much, like, overnight was getting seen all over the place. And so, like, I felt like if we were to really push it at that point, it would have been great. But the problem is him and I both weren't at all in the marketing mindset. So the entire time we were as a group, we dropped one physical CD. And other than that, we were just like, listen to our music. And that was as far as it went. We were doing shows all the time. We didn't have anything at a merch table. And he was okay because he was off of an army disability check because he was in the military and shit. And I was, on the other hand, fucked because I was this broke juggalo that needed to actually learn how to make money. And so when he stopped doing music, I had to really learn how, like, all right, I'm going to hold this job because I realistically need something to pay my bills, but I'm going to focus on this and try to at least make it somewhat have some income to it.
mm-hmm. All right, that's actually probably a little bit detailed story I've gotten. I had somebody on, I'm never going to mention their name, and it wasn't even a juggalo or anything. It was just like, yeah, so I got this band together, and we played at this huge place in the city. It's like, how the fuck did you get your, like, you just walked in and was like, I want to play next week?
Right.
Yeah, I'm like, there's a disconnect here that's being left, something's being left out. That's cool, though, that, like, so somebody else was actually kind of, like, pushing you. Like, was, like, saw something in you, I guess, maybe?
What's that?
I guess they saw something in you, and they're like, dude, you know.
Well, yeah, he had because he was just, to me, like, even though he was taking his music serious, we met as some juggalos and shit. So I was like, you're showing me your stuff, I'm gonna show you mine type thing, just as, like, some homie shit.
Yeah.
And even though it was recorded in a closet on, like, a $15 microphone, he was like, I can still hear the shit you're saying. The quality sucks. I want to get you into an actual studio to do this. But he's like, and it was kind of flattering because we had a bunch of homies that used to do it back then. Because the thing was always like you mob up with your friends. You got like 8 guys on a song, shit like that. And it was specifically me and one of our other friends that he was like, I want to get you guys in the studio. And we brought our other friend with us, and he never got his passport. So he never came out to Detroit. We stayed in Canada, and sadly, he still never did anything further than that.
Nice. Who makes, you know what I was wondering? Who makes your beats? Have you been using like the same person or just sporadic, like, you know, whoever you're
It's
messing
pretty
with?
sporadic for the most part. Recently, I've been running around with this group Occult, and one of our producers, Thick Chris, has been making a lot of stuff for me. And before that, like, a lot of the times I just searched different sites that has beat makers and stuff and just picked off different ones that I like, because it's so hard for me to find one specific beat maker to fill like an entire project worth of stuff that I want to do.
I could see that. Yeah.
And there is one I'm doing recently that I have the same producer for like more than half of the CD, but even then I'm like, I had to have a few other people throw in just to mix it up a little bit. Like, I don't want it to sound exactly the same every song. It's got to have some like build and climax to it.
Uh-huh. Have you ever used Shaggy the Airhead or Devereaux?
Not on any of my own personal beats.
Okay.
I have heard some of his shit, and I don't think I've been on a collab with him because usually you can hear his tag on it. But I have heard a lot of his beats. His beats are sick.
Yeah. You know, that shit reminds me of like Funkmaster Flex with the explosion. You know, they should have taken that away from him like 2 months after he started using it. Yeah, you'll definitely know who made that song if it was Devereaux or Shaggy the Airhead.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering. Yeah, no, I was just wondering because, yeah, they make some fire fucking beats in my opinion. So, actually, the intro to my show is done by Devereaux.
That's dope.
Yeah. It's a pretty sick. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. This is the Acid Cult that you had just mentioned before.
Yep.
I'm assuming you didn't design that then, right?
No, that was our homie Enox. Has a designer that's done all this type of shit. I can't remember exactly which one he said did this one, but Acid Cult is pretty much Enoch's creation. And it started off, it was just he was doing designs for like t-shirts and merchandising and shit like that. It wasn't so much involved with music as it was he wanted to do like designs for stuff. And then just recently he started like focusing more on making it like a music oriented thing. And there's not really like any contracts, there's no bullshit like that. He's not breathing down our neck being like, you got to get this project done at this time. It's a group of people that all are pretty like-minded in what they're doing. We all bring something to the table to help support each other more or less and bring each other up. And it's like no strings attached though. So if somebody gets hit up with some super dope deal, it's like, go fucking do it. Nobody's holding you back here. But in the meantime, like we got to click all together and we're going to run together and push each other up as much as we can type shit.
I like that. Yeah, it seems like you guys are like a very tight-knit family from what I've gotten out of that stuff.
Oh yeah, we go everywhere together too. Like we had most of us at the Gathering, we had most of us at Gorefest. We throw our own shows around here. Like a lot of the things that we're doing, we end up kind of like parading in together for and shit.
That's cool. You going to Halloween Fest?
I don't think I'm gonna make it to anything for Halloween. I want to go to Hallowicked, but it's so.
Oh, that's what I meant. Yeah,
expensive.
Hallowicked. Yeah, Hallowicked. Sorry.
Yeah, I figured that's what you meant.
Yeah.
It's so expensive. I haven't been to a Hallowicked since like 2012. I think was the last time when tickets were still like $30 or something at most. And I don't even think it was that much back then. I can't remember, but nowadays I look at the tag and it's like I think $100 and something, $200, some shit.
Oh, if you want to do the general admission, it's 170 probably. I think it was 163. I was looking at it earlier because I am gonna go. Just depends.
I'd love to go again. I can't afford that. 'Cause for me to go too, it's like I'm definitely gonna bring the wife, so that's like a $300 investment right there. And I'm like, that's a lot of money.
Oh
I
yeah.
want to go to that. I like the flyer as well with the wagons on it, the symbolism of the wagons.
Yeah.
Going back to, I think it was the Jekyll Brothers, the last song. It always had a symbolic meaning of the dark carnival with the wagon, and it was sort of like the end of a symbolically going to heaven or something, or I'm
they're going like to the Echo shit on Jekyll Brothers and shit.
That's inside, yep.
Yeah.
And it's also at a Masonic temple in Detroit.
Yeah.
And that temple is very, very it's the biggest Masonic temple, I believe, in the world. And how many rooms there are is significant as well. I think there's 300 and I forget how many rooms, but it's connected to a lot of rituals that go down.
Yeah.
A lot of strange things happen with ICP as well, and people that perform there, like as if there was some sort of ritual going down as well.
Right.
But that's cool that you went in 2012. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, back then it wasn't at the temple. They did it at downtown Detroit. I forgot the spot. I think the Fillmore, if I remember correctly. It was a big spot down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was another
it was
reason.
Back when everyone was still friends. I remember I dislocated my shoulder while Blaze was performing and I was crowd surfing. And I refused to leave. I just went and leaned on the wall in the back. And I remember watching the rest of Blaze's set and then Twisted and then ICP with my shoulder all hanging out of socket and shit. And I waited till the end of ICP and then I'm like, we gotta fucking go.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. I got to smoke with Blaze. I was young. I must have been like 14, 13. I wasn't driving yet. And it was at the Shangri-La release party before the day before the album came out. So that's a while ago. 2012, I think the album, wasn't that Bang Pow Boom era?
I think Bang Pow Boom was a little bit before that because I remember Bang Pow Boom, that sampler came out. The only gathering I went to before the one I just went to was the 10th. And that was 2009, I believe. And the Bang Pow Boom sampler was getting passed out that year. So I think it probably came out right around then.
The Tempest, maybe.
2000. I stopped keeping up with them a lot after Bang Pow Boom and Mighty Death Pop and stuff like that because it just wasn't the same wicked carnival thing that drew me into it. And it's no disrespect to
Oh, no, it is
ICP.
what
I
it
love
is.
what
Yeah.
they do.
It's a producer change, like how they had Mikey Clark, and then they got switched over.
Right. It started to sound way. It didn't have that same carnival clowny feel to me anymore. And if it did, it was super happy and almost forced. And I'm like, I want you to chop a head off. I don't want to have to like, ha ha ha. Like, it's not the same to me.
Yeah, you know, I totally understand. Like, I've even said that myself, you know, on the show. You know, when I first started listening to them, I'd only started at the Great Malenko. And then I did eventually listen to older stuff and then listen to newest stuff. But, like, a couple albums after that, it just wasn't something I was, like, thumping all the time. But I would go back to it. But, like, like I've said, I'm really, really impressed with Chapter 17 stuff, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Darby, Mac, and, like, you know, even Isham. You know, all those dudes.
Right.
I love older Isham for sure.
Isham is why we have ICP and Eminem. Like he's the like the godfather of the wicked shit.
No, with having the 10th gathering being the one that I went to before, and like I said, I think it's 2009, so I would have been like 18, 19 years old or some shit. But I wasn't from nowhere around Michigan, so I didn't get to see a lot of like the OG motherfuckers come up. This year at the gathering, Isham was booked though, and then he went up on stage. The very first song, he came out with Mastermind and fucking TNT and did Do You Believe in God? And they did a whole Nodus set that year. And I was like a little fucking girl at a Backstreet Boy concert, so I had no idea this was about to happen. I'm just standing there like, oh my. It was one of the greatest performances. That it's like the only one that really sticks in my head that whole year. Besides Tech 9, that was crazy back then. But
I'm friends with Daniel Jordan. Out here in Arizona. I haven't seen him in a while, but he was on Isham's label, and I got to go to the Isham show where he had a Mastermind up there, and it was off the hook for sure.
Hell yeah.
I
was so glad to have at least the one time got to see the three together because like I never had that opportunity to again.
Right.
If I could hop in though, I think not enough could be said about the significance of Michigan when it comes to the heart of the country. And you've got Hart Plaza in Detroit, and how relevant all the rappers that come out of that Detroit scene really are to the rest of the country. And you see it sort of like spreading all the way across everywhere. ICP, you've got Eminem, you've got all these other rappers that come right up through there. And Michigan has always been considered to be the heart of the country in Native American lore. And it's right between those two major Great Lakes right there. And it has that sort of energy coming from it. And so to see, you know, the gathering and all the stuff coming out of Michigan, Detroit is one of the few places in the country where you're actually north of Canada and you have to go south into Canada. And it's got this sort of feel to it that kind of changes the perspective, even Kiss. But you've got this idea of, you know, all of this sort of this rock energy that sort of spreads across the country, all of this sort of rap energy coming from that area. So, I mean, have you guys ever, you know, experienced that kind of feel while you're at these gatherings and while you're at these concerts?
I'm not sure if it's necessarily like to do with that, but I definitely have felt some crazy energies at these, like especially these Detroit shows. Like the gathering being in Ohio, it has its own feel, and I think that's just because you get so many juggalos in one spot at one time. Like you can't help but have that carnival energy among you. But then, like, just around Michigan and shit like that, like, of all the different places, all the different states I've been, Michigan definitely has a different feel than anywhere else. And, like, I feel like a lot of it does have to do with that. A lot of the wicked shit was born out here and everything. Like, this is where it all came from. It's, like, the home to it. Like, I will say Colorado was amazing, but it was hard as fuck to breathe up there. Like, I don't know how these guys do that all the time.
The elevation is higher, probably. I don't know.
I thought I was fine. I walked up mountains and shit. I'm like, I'm good. Then I got on stage like 2 songs in. I'm like, I'm having an asthma attack.
Yeah, I heard you're supposed to get there, spend the night, then your body like adjusts, and then that's what I heard.
Luckily, I did spend the night, but I didn't necessarily sleep. Like, I stayed overnight, but I only slept like 2 or 3 hours. So I just kept going and going and going. And I didn't perform till the last night of Gorefest. I was there every fucking night. So Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday night, I finally performed. I'm like, I'm gonna die here.
I think that Headless Giant, you onto something with the ley line of the heart. I didn't know was the heart of America. And that's where all of this music, Kid Rock, even Kiss, everybody's coming out of Detroit. And then you also got other ley lines of Compton, a gateway city. I believe that is like the California of Laurel Canyon. And talking about like these different gatherings. Well, Laurel Canyon was a government operation with the Doors, like the Doors dudes. Military connections father, straight connected to the Gulf of Tonkin incident. And then ICP, I kind of look at that as like the gathering. You're free to do anything you want. You could do the drugs, alcohol, get naked, have sex. You could do anything and not get arrested. It's kind of like the same vibes as the hippie Grateful Dead movement. The Grateful Dead movement was I'm like, my mom and my family, they're deadheads, which probably is why I'm a juggalo. Maybe there was like some sort of connection there to that kind of, because if you look at the Grateful Dead bear and the Hatchet Man, it's pretty much the same sigil. It's like the same symbol. And why am I so attracted to it? Why am I moved towards that? Why did my mom move towards that as well? And it doesn't help when I get into my conspiracy mind and then realize, oh, wow, like Psychopathic Records pretty much started in a military base. If you think about Jump Steady's like growing up there, but that's me getting paranoid. I'm a schizophrenic, don't panic, you know? So a lot of stuff going there. So that's kind of.
Well, an interesting connection is between Detroit and Ohio, because you've got Toledo that goes straight up into that sort of Detroit corridor. And if you look at Ohio, it's like the passage, right? So you've got the underpassage going all the way under that Great Lake into the rest of the country. And then on the other side of it, you've got all the East Coast and all this mountain range there. So I think if you're going to classify these different parts as like parts of the body, I think Ohio's sort of like an arm, right? And so you've got Detroit, which would be the heart, and then it's kind of connected to that arm, and it's sort of reaching out to everybody else there. But if Detroit would be the heart, I think Colorado would be the head, you know, because it's up higher than everything else in that country, you know. And all of these symbols really play into how people relate to the music while they're there, you know. You almost feel overtaken by the majesty of these mountains, and it takes your breath away, you know.
You feel like you have an asthma attack. Yeah. Yeah. Jin, did you want to ask anything before I go on with some more questions?
Yeah, I actually had two questions for you, Bambam. So I've always asked this. I think I've asked this in every Juggalo episode. Like, what does the family mean to you? And then also, if you want to describe like what horrorcore means to you personally, and how you, because I know you do you have everything. Not everybody does the makeup, the full regalia, we'll call it, and just. Right. Give a little like why you do that, and why you think it's important to preserve that.
Okay. Well, for me, the family, it's basically, it came up, a lot of us, not every one of them, because every Juggalo has a different story. Every Juggalo is going to have a slightly different answer for this type of shit. But for a lot of us, we weren't really accepted into too many other places. I came up when it still wasn't necessarily cool to be a Juggalo back then. We were seen as the freaks and the outcasts. We didn't necessarily fit in with the goth kids or anybody else. And even when it came to growing up, my mom ended up marrying a Christian, and she turned Christian. So she was super against basically everything that I did, everything that I stood for. And they were completely insane about that. Like North Carolina Bible Belt Christian, like fucking going to church every Sunday. I'm going to hell because I fucking wear black nails or some shit like that. Like, it was horrible. And so the only place I really felt all right through all this was when I'd click up with other Juggalos and shit. They were the only ones who would ever bring me in and be like, yo, do you? Who gives a fuck what any of these motherfuckers think? Just be yourself. Who cares? and I could actually relate to them because I didn't have to hide anything. I didn't have to put a mask on. Like, whether we paint up or not, that's irrelevant. It's like we're just our fucking selves here. Like, it's like he was saying, it's like at the gathering when people are just walking around with their fucking nuts hanging out, smoking weed, doing whatever the fuck they want to do, because it's like the one world where we can just open up and be ourselves. And as long as you're not being an asshole, nobody's gonna fuck with you. And I always had huge love for that type of shit. But, and then as it comes to horrorcore for me is, there's that precious, beautiful dark spot in everyone's head that a lot of people choose to ignore. And I feel like when you ignore that, that's usually when you turn into an absolute psychopath, because someday something in you is going to break and you're not going to understand why you're thinking about scalping the person in front of you. And so if you just soak in these thoughts and dwell in that and find like a good release, whether it be like writing it into music, or like if you're into art, you could draw some fucked up shit or whatever you want to do, just be creative with it so you're not actually hurting anybody. And then it's the type of thing where like you're not gonna snap because you're already fucking playing with this type of shit all the time and everything. You understand that it's not something you can go do in real life. That's why you have this way to mock it and to just kind of let it out. I don't know. I might be crazy though.
No, wicked smart. That's wicked smart. It is. It's like same thing with metal or horrorcore. It is processing life, processing what the fuck is going on in life. Yeah, I was tired.
That's even something I like to add just real quick. I want to throw in, and I'm not saying that this is your case, but in my opinion, other stuff that I've heard from like, you know, Ouija Mac and Darby and a couple other people, even Violent J, in my opinion. Violent J says some real deep fucking shit, actually, I think. A lot of the horrorcore, for me, I think what attracts me to a lot of the stuff, too, is the occult stuff that is being said, but it's using horror as a way to say it. You know, it's just like it's like a vehicle or an art, a visualization of art to talk about deep shit. That's just my opinion. I do think you do get that out of those guys, and that's why I'm really interested in that stuff. And I really, I just like to bring that up. That I think sometimes it's not always as dark and as negative as people think it is. It's just people are just saying it. It's easy for them to express that. I mean, in my opinion, you know, fucking with magic, there can be times where I think if you understand what's really going on, you can look at it as like, that's kind of fucking wild and is a little creepy and dark. But the outcome is going to be something beautiful, you know what I'm saying? And amazing and like spiritually awakening and will change you, I think.
Walk through the darkness to find the light.
Yes. I mean, when you hear people say I had to go through hell to get to heaven, I'm like, I could see that with like kind of crossing the abyss, actually, you know, for real. So like if what I'm getting at is like, I can see a lot of darkness, but to me, it's just one snippet of one long story that does end up beautiful. So, I guess the best way to put it. So I don't think it's all that scary. I even think sometimes, in my opinion, other occultists in the past have covered shit up with horror and sexualism just so people actually misunderstand it or don't even look at it. You know what I'm saying? That's just my opinion. So, like, sometimes I think, like, maybe it's only for the people who really have the ears to hear and lack fear, you know, something along those lines as well.
Right.
Yeah, because sometimes, in my opinion, you know, because even myself, and I've even had to have people on the show, you know, a co-host even tell me that, like, you know, not everybody's going to, like, get it. You know what I'm saying? And not everybody's even looking for it, too. But sometimes, like, it's going to be a very small group of people that really are searching that much to not be biased.
Right.
You know, so it's like I can't even, you know, sometimes I've been trying myself to, like, I guess, work on that. And it could be a little frustrating, but it is what it is. But again, not everybody's like willing to listen or wants to hear it. So, all right. I don't know. I'm fucking rambling.
Can I add something onto that as well? Is also there's sort of a philosophy of the juggalos of acceptance that plays a big role in a sense where it's a very high level spiritual principle acceptance. I'm in recovery, and got 9 years sober. And
good for you, man.
Thank you. It's the serenity prayer and acceptance that it just vibrates at another level. And growing up with my friends, and we were juggalos, it's like family, kind of, you know, it's like your friends and whatnot supporting each other. And it's so cool because it breaks the crowd in a sense, even though the juggalos is a crowd as well, which that just is going on another level. I'm talking about just an individual level with just me and my homies, kind of like the same story. And some people just pursue their rap career. And my best friend growing up, we were juggalos and we were doing that. Yeah, fuck them, whatever, you know, fuck the fuck off is like seriously the quote. And there's like this freedom to it to pursue your business careers. Like ICP, what they're doing to juggalos is they're giving them some Ayn Rand kind of philosophy.
Ayn Rand, that's funny. That's awesome.
In a sense, they are. It is kind of collectivist though as well, but there's also principles. It's like a mixture of two different philosophies. But in the community of your friends listening to it, yo, no, go do that rap. I'll do it with you. Let's drink these 40s. And I was doing the raps too with my friend. Now he's famous, bro. He's a rapper. He used to have the Hatchet Man at all the shows. I filmed him at Isham, but now he's performing with Jelly Roll and like doing the bigger stuff.
Hell yeah.
I don't know if that how I add on to it. I just felt compelled to add a little.
Speaking of Ayn Rand, I don't think you actually talked about that hood that you had on earlier, A plus A. That's a big part of Ayn Rand's philosophy that comes, I believe, from the Astrum Argentum.
Yeah, the hood that I had on was an Astrum Argentum hood, in case anybody was wondering. I was not in it, but I do have the robe because I knew somebody who was in it that actually made the robes for other people in the Astrum Argentum. So I grabbed one.
That's the AA, the Magical Society of Aleister Crowley.
Yeah, the Silver Star, they'll call it. Yeah,
the Silver Star. I always thought it was the Twin Peaks, the Twin Peaks. And
I've said that before. It makes an M as well. Yeah. I think you're onto something with that Twin Peaks shit. And you know what's interesting is that it is kind of like the OTO and the Golden Dawn coming together in a sense. Like
okay, so it's like Venus and Adonis as well. I think it is too, which makes the Star of David, right? The V, the A.
Yeah, so I think there's a whole bunch of shit when it comes to the Astrum Argentum.
Yeah, that's a very interesting. I'd like to learn more about it.
Yeah, that's it. Yo, I just the string, like the amount of shit you have to go through for them to even entertain you. It's like they'll send you like a list of probably like 15 books that you got to read, and then you got to take a test. It's fucking insane, dude. Just to become a student.
Well, you know what I always thought is interesting learning about these occult orders is the Order of the Golden Dawn, Samuel Mathers, right? And then you got Marshall Mathers, who's Eminem. And then the Moonchild book that Aleister Crowley wrote about the two magical societies battling it out. And I always thought it was Dark Lotus, ICP, Juggalos versus Eminem, right? The two different magical societies. And now they're at this cross point politically where they agree with each other, it seems like, behind the scenes, because ICP was targeted by the FBI, by the Obama regime as well. But this is it gets kind of a very deep though, because philosophically they kind of align with Eminem's beliefs, which kind of goes with that as well. I think I could be wrong. I don't know them personally, but I feel like there was that beef. If they knew it or they didn't know it, it was on the world stage. There was the underground, and then there was the mainstream, and they were battling it out. I've never read Moonchild, but I heard that's what it was sort of about.
Yeah, Moonchild, in case anybody's wondering, a book by Aleister Crowley.
And like Von and Jay, fuck you and the moon, right? There's all these moon. He's got Moon Glorious. There's a lot of moon references, but I'm also a schizophrenic, and I put the things together that don't belong together. So
Oh no, I know what you mean with that.
I'm not really schizophrenic. I'm just schizophrenic.
You start taking like random things, and you're like, "This makes sense right here." I know.
Yeah. I apologize, but it's very important with what I was just saying with the Golden Dawn and Dark Lotus and the magical societies battling it out. That the first Dark Lotus album, Mars, in an interview recently that I heard, he said that he was bringing in the Golden Dawn magic into the system of Dark Lotus. So I think that there is something there, but I don't know.
Oh,
I believe it was in that same album in the art where if you open it up, you looked at some shit in the mirror or whatever, it was supposed to be some sort of incantation or some sort.
Did you do that?
No, because I didn't end up getting the actual album that came out. I got the second version with ABK because I can never find the Mars version.
Oh, bro, it's so much better.
I love to listen to it, but I've never had the physical copy of the one with Mars.
I had it. Me and my friends, we did it when we were in high school. Like we were like 12 years. No, we weren't even in high school. I think we were 12, and we did that in front of the mirror. And I think that was some real stuff. And I was like, "F this!" And they have you do a spell in this album, Dark Lotus, where you look in the mirror, and then like it's like some Beetlejuice shit. Where you put like a chair in front of the mirror. Do you know anything about? Is that like a thing? Okay.
No, sorry, I don't happen to know about it.
I mean, I don't know if this is Astrum Argentum, but it does that working like that Donut's describing. It does remind me it's very lunar, because obviously a mirror is where death is, but it's also like silverine, like obviously it's tied back to Astrum Argentum, and that is the planetary metal of the moon. And even the Dark Lotus, that kind of like the dark purple color, that I would also associate that with that. And there's a lot of things that you guys are talking about that are quite deep, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so I'm gonna ask. I guess we'll get into this, and then we'll start getting into the occult more. What is a? I mean, this might have been you might have almost answered this already. Like, what is a juggalo to you, or maybe I'll go with this. Do you think there's any occult ideas or archetypes behind the word juggalo?
I mean, there very well maybe. I wouldn't know too much when it comes to that, but as for like personally when it comes to being a juggalo, it's just somebody who really, you don't give a fuck what other people are going to think about you. You don't give a fuck. You're just yourself. Like, you don't live to other people's standards. Like, I'm not here to, if you, like the same shit like I was saying when I used to live with my mom and everything, and she used to try to drag my ass to church Sunday and everything like that. I'm like, my thing is, you can be a Christian. I will accept you for being a Christian, but the second you start dragging my ass into it, it's a problem. And like, I've met juggalos of every fucking religion, and not one of them has ever tried to drag me into their shit. Not one of them's ever been like, yo, I need to show you the ways of how I do, because they don't give a fuck. Yeah. They're like, you're you, I'm me, and that's the way it is. We can all fit in this shit. We're not some stupid ass little box where we all got to conform to one normal thing. We can all be ourselves, and that's the beauty of it.
Gotcha. Nice. All right. And with the 17, what does that mean to you?
Well, originally, I know 17 came from, on Beverly Kills, they had the track 17 Dead, which was referring to, like, how many people bought the Carnival of Carnage album the first day it released or whatever. So, like, that's what they considered to be, like, the original 17 Dead Juggalos type shit.
Oh, okay.
And then when it comes to chapter 17, that's from Behind the Paint. That was the missing chapter, because they're like, that chapter is you. And so they're pretty much like the next generation psychopathic as far as I see it with what they're doing.
That's what I kind of assumed. Yeah.
I think Dahmer also ate or killed 17 people as well.
Yes, he
that
did.
Would make sense.
Yes, and what's his face did 33? Gacy.
Gacy, yeah.
When he had a balloon showing 33
There's
flavors too.
Connections too with him, right?
Oh God.
All over Wisconsin too. I deliver to an Elks Lodge and I'm looking around. Maybe there's another Gacy in here.
Oh, he was Moose Lodge. Yeah, he was a Moose Lodge.
Moose Lodge. Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, like Dahmer was in Ohio, where like the gathering is, right? The real gathering that I never got to go to. I've been to a gathering, but I never got to go to the Ohio one. That's where the Dahmer stuff went down as well. So there's like these ley lines, certain things happen. Like with the Compton in Laurel Canyon, California, that produced the hippie movement, that produced gangster rap, and then like on the East Coast, it's like producing the wicked shit. Yeah.
Was it 17 bodies dead and the party's just getting started? Some shit like that. It's a line by Mac. You know what I find? I suspect Ohio has something funny about it just for the simple fact Dave Chappelle lives there. That's my honest opinion.
Well, have you guys noticed the Ohio meme? Basically, anytime they want to talk about something weird going down, they're always referencing Ohio. And now you've got Trump referencing Ohio, and you've got these big old militias moving out to Ohio now. I think that's going to be like a flashpoint in the coming election.
Ooh.
So keep an eye out for Ohio.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yo, Donut, wasn't it you that even covered that Trump said 93 like fucking 20 million times? And
no, the ICP did. If I say fuck 2 more times, that's 90. I think ICP says fuck 93 times and fuck the world when you add it up. And Limp Bizkit says fuck 47 times. So 93 is aloha in the occult, right? Through dilemma, and then 47 is the Masonic compass for Limp Bizkit, which they're all Masons.
Yeah. Well, I even find interesting is the
well,
four.
At least one guy is, sorry.
The 4 and the 7 are both on the right pillar, and this is totally getting off topic now, but like I have said that I've thought that more of like the left is more of like the Scarlet Whore, and the right is more of like the Beast, and the 4th and the 7th sphere would be on the right pillar. And I mean, if you all have right pillar energy, in my opinion, that is like dealing with like a beast that is like untamed. So I do see it making sense with Trump, unfortunately. I mean, listen, I shit on both sides of the street. I don't give a fuck about politicians. I think they all suck. So I don't trust him either. So
I don't trust none of them.
Yeah. But with the 4 and the 7, I could see that with like even just other occult stuff too as well. And the 9, even the 9 and the 3, I mean, you even get like kabbalistically, you start getting Saturn and the moon, and like that's all sorts of like deep weird shit putting those two together. Yeah. For some reason, I thought you had made a post too about Trump saying, because I know there was one speech where he did like 93, and he did say it a bunch of times to where it even caught my attention. I was like, yo, what's up, man? Yeah.
I might have.
Yeah, I don't know, Bambam, if you understand, like 93 kind of is like synonymous with the OTO and Thelema.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know little bits here and there, not a whole lot. I never super delved into it.
Gotcha. All right, I asked you about the Juggalos, I asked you about 17. I guess, I mean, listen, I think it's quite obvious from your music, and actually, was there anything you wanted me to play first? You got a song you want me to play?
I can't remember exactly which ones I sent you.
Okay, you know what? I'll bring something up and I'll ask you another question because I forgot I have to load up the song differently. I thought I could pull it up like a video file. I can't. I actually got to like load it into StreamYard. What got you? I guess we're gonna go here. What got you into the occult?
A lot of it was mostly just like as a kid hanging out with my friend. There's a specific dude I know. He's not here anymore. He ended up being killed by fucking cops back years ago. But my dude Troy, and when I met him, he was super into like fucking Ouija boards and shit like that. And at the time, I'd seen it in movies and everything, but he's the one that was actually like, hey, let's go hang out in cemeteries and fuck with this and see what we can stir up and shit like that. And it just became more of a thing at that point, to the point we were being stupid and playing with shit on people that didn't deserve it around our school, specifically a principal at one point. And I feel like that's possibly a lot of what fucked up my life. And as you see, he's not here anymore. And since then, I was in and out of a lot of different fucking psych wards and group homes, to the point I was kicked out of my mom's house and sent to my dad, who ended up fucking killing himself, and all kinds of fucked up shit. So I feel like the stuff that I used to play with might have fucked with me a little bit. But it's still been a topic I channel when it comes to music mostly. Like, I don't really play with stuff that dark anymore because I'm not trying to fuck with those repercussions now that I got kids, especially. Like, I got a 10-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I'm like, I'm not trying to risk them.
Yeah, no, yeah, I get that. Real quick, before we move on, I'm gonna play another death ritual. So I got that one.
Hell yeah.
Another doll, a soul to break within my walls. 3 pins pushed in as darkness falls. Let death begin to take you all. Another candle left to burn. Another soul that's left to squirm. Another spell as pages turn. All of you gone with no return. Cross-legged on the grass with the candles lit. Fingers through the flames as they wave and twitch to invoke the forces that I'm speaking with. You need a sacrifice, you must proceed with gifts. Dagger in the heart, clouds start to part, and the moon shines bright alongside the stars. Can hear the groans of the dead echo from afar as a fog fills thick, spread across the yard. 4 poppets from my pocket and I drop them on the stone, pointing north, south, east, west to cover every zone. Not alone for a moment, you can see the eyes glowing, and they keep growing closer as the blood keeps flowing. Floating over both my shoulders, hoping for the soda leave. Only quota, pure disorder. Take control and let them bleed. Another face, another doll, a soul to break within my wall. 3 pins pushed in as darkness falls. Let death begin to take you all. Another candle left to burn. Another soul that's left to squirm. Another spell as pages turn. All of you gone with no return. Dolls charged from the spell, now they can't repel. Placed under my command, my demands are felt. Wrapped together on a belt, and I keep them with me. Just the tormented moments, I'm not too busy. Couple pricks and cuts, restitch them up. Line of twine on the neck that I'm squeezing shut. Nothing quickly done, I'm holding on for months. Let the suffering stretch out for everyone. Freeze them every night, just to keep them nice. And then I broil them up, extreme heat for mice. Bind them on the wall like some Christmas lights. Slice them nice and slow, every time precise. Keep seaming them up, just to do it again. Never see it enough, so never seeing it end. I'll keep bleeding these souls and repeating the trend. To keep stalling the deaths at my will to descend. Another face, another doll, a soul to break within my wall. 3 pins pushed in as darkness falls. Keep stalling the deaths at my will to you all. Another candle left to burn. Another soul that's left to squirm. Another spell as pages turn. All of you gone with no return.
Oh, that was hot. I love the voodoo aesthetic there. Is that one of the big influences in your occult practices? Is the voodoo angle?
Yeah, that was one of the things back in the day that he got me involved with. And like I said, I believe a lot in balance. That's one of the reasons that I don't really fuck with things much anymore like that. I'm not trying to like manipulate too much. But if it becomes necessarily, I feel like when there is balance, somebody that's deserving can end up in a situation where it's like karma's not doing it quick enough so you can do it. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So like it's been years since I've done too much, but there might be a doll in my freezer right now. But that's I don't do it often.
I actually think what you said was really profound about sort of being in balance, being in synthesis, but it's like a equivalent. You're perfectly balanced between the pillars, and so you can draw from the good karma pool to expedite certain works. I think that's very real. I think that's a real magician's sort of way to look at the world. And you're not doing it so you're out of balance, but you sort of like are waiting for the right moment, the potential to take action.
Exactly. And I don't do things, I haven't, especially in forever, even in this case, I don't do things to harm anyone. Like what I do is basically just like leave my people the fuck alone. Like, I'm not trying to make you suffer. I'm not trying to make you fucking sick. Your people die, nothing like that. I just want you to leave my people alone that you're fucking with.
I got that.
If I could hop in there real quick, I feel the sharpness from that song, which is one of the primary focuses of magic, is to create what you're trying to make the people feel. And I think you can really almost cut yourself on that song. So I liked it.
Hell yeah, I appreciate that.
That beat was dope. Did you make the beat or?
No, that was one of the randoms. That was from Dead Body Pimpin'. And when I was making that album, I had like 2 months left in a studio before I thought I was going to lose everything and have to start over. And I was extremely pissed off and just using music to cope at the time. I'm like, I'm going to make a short little EP. So I jump onto BeatStars and just started leasing random beats that I found that I thought were cool. And next thing you know, I got like 10 songs done. And next thing you know, there's like 15. And I'm like, fuck, I got a whole album by a whole bunch of random producers now. But I think it came out sounding pretty dope though. But I literally, like, every beat pretty much is a different guy.
It's just like what you were just talking about though, with the instrumentals, that clown circus type vibe that kind of changed a little bit after a few of Bang Pow Boom type album, you know.
Right.
It had that vibe. It had that like.
Well, I want to really bring that feel back to the, like, I know there's a lot of motherfuckers like me that miss that sound, and it's like, I'm not trying to ride nuts, but I'm trying to make that sound continue. And a lot of motherfuckers aren't doing it anymore. And even if they're doing it in a good way, they're doing it differently. Like, a lot of it's becoming like a completely different genre, and it doesn't have that same like spookiness to it, I guess you could say. And it's like, I'm trying to see that live forever. And if these guys aren't going to do it, then we got to get some new people to do it.
Old school Halloween vibe. I love it.
Exactly.
Yes.
I want everything. I got the jack-o'-lantern from Halloween tatted right here. I don't know if you can see it, but
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, it's become too electronic, you know. So that's kind of bring it back to a little. I don't know if it's considered boom bap, but you know, that whack and the Mikey Clark always did that. With now that I re-listen to it later, it's like I can hear that snare doing.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Actually, yes, a very specific sound. Yeah. What inspired you to even write that song, if you don't mind me asking?
that one specifically, I remember it was when I was having to move out of that place. It was the dude that I was living with had basically had what I consider a midlife crisis because he was in his 30s. And he all of a sudden decided he was leaving the chick he had been with for 8 years, and we were all kind of a commune living together and shit. And so she wanted to move out of state. Our other roommate was like, fuck this, it's chaos, I'm leaving. Me and my wife are like, we can't afford this house. So there was a whole lot of like anger and shit like that going on. And so between him and a few other people at the time that were basically the ones that were all getting fucked up together, doing all this stupid shit together. So that's where the Four Poppets came from. And instead of actually going into a cemetery and trying to put my own blood into fucking them up, I decided I'm going to just put it out in some music.
That's probably a better option.
That really reminds me of feng shui, right? So feng shui means wind and water. And you can either let it slide off of you or you can let it pool up, and then it eventually ends up hurting you as well. So you just let it slide right off of you, and now that energy's gone. I love it.
Right? Use it for something creative, get that anger out, and then move on. Because now I'm not even really mad about none of that shit.
No, for sure. I definitely think that's kind of like really like, it's almost like alchemy in a sense, or transmutation. I have in the past like taken shitty times and actually have made some great stuff for the podcast, because I think I kind of just had to focus my attention somewhere else and put that energy that I had inside me. Instead of doing it in one way, I did it in a different way.
Yeah, you channel that energy and find something positive to do with it.
Exactly. Yes. I've done that myself.
The spare catapults us into action. So like the hell you go through, you know, moves you. It's the pain that moves us. It's the spiritual pain that will move us into something. I got to do something different with my life, kind of, you know.
Yes, very well said, sir. I'm going to play this one next. Blame It on the Moon.
Word, hell yeah.
Alright. I know it might be a little bit fucked up, and you might not really believe me based on the way the shit really went down. But it's not my fault, man. You really can't blame me. And if you listen, you might understand that. Yo, I was chillin', smoking on a blunt, getting fried. Mount Hope Cemetery where the moon shines bright. Just thinking, something on my mind ain't right. As I'm twiddling my thumbs, just admiring the sights. Alright, moving on, I head outside, hop the fence and drive off in my wife's ride off to college town, where drunk bitches fall down, and they never get away when you try to snuff them out. Trust me, I never let the skills get dusty, so I steal one off the street with a hook that's rusty, and I take her to a place all dank and musty. On my leather face shit, try to kick and tug me, so I chain her to a table so the struggle bus is done. Put some staples in her face and see her pay for the fun. Get to licking off her tears and any blood where it runs, and it's turning on my gears till I can't help but come. Dumb bitch beat her face all numb till it's all swelled up, look like chewed up gum. Used a string and I squeezed off her tongue. Can't believe how she screamed with a mouthful of blood. Wouldn't change, not a moment if I could. Doesn't matter anyway, but hope she don't feel shunned. So sorry for the way I become. You can just blame the moon for the things that I've done. So I grabbed her and choked her and dragged her away. Then I stabbed her and slapped up the walls with her brains. Put the flames on the moon, blame it on the full moon. Put the blame on the moon, blame it on the full moon. So I stroked her and groped her and dressed in her clothes. Added stress to her wounds when I stretched out the holes. Put the flames on the moon, blame it on the full moon. Put the blame on the moon, blame it on the full moon. On the street as the darkness prevails, scrub the blood off my hands, made it to the river trail. At that time there's not too much traffic, just the broke homeless folk and the wandering addicts. No bashing, they can make great victims. They even bleed quicker when the liquor's in them. And just like that a bitch approached, in some flip-flops, torn shorts and winter coat. She asked how it goes and asked do I hope. I said always ho, let's just take a stroll. Took her down off the trail where the river flows. Put her up on a tree where I squeezed her throat. Her eyes got huge, her face a shock. Locked till she went blue, then I grabbed a rock and knocked her over the skull until she couldn't walk. She flopped over on the ground and coughed blood and clots. She was pretty right there where she lied, but I wasn't trying to stay just to watch her die. So I rolled her over, let her catch the tide. They'll find her by the fish ladder at some other time. She'll be fine, and I swear me too. On my stroll home, I even caught another few. But it's not my fault, it's not a thing I choose. I only do what I do cause I'm controlled by the moon. So I grabbed her and choked her and dragged her away. Then I stabbed her and slapped up the walls with her brains. Put the flames on the moon, blame it on the full moon. Put the blame on the moon, blame it on the full moon. So I stroked her and groped her and dressed in her clothes. Added stress to her wounds when I stretched out the holes. Put the flames on the moon, blame it on the full moon. Put the blame on the moon, blame it on the full moon.
I never really understood the shit, but for as long as I can remember, every full moon I just get a little bit different. It usually ends in me hunting bitches in the street, and I know it just can't be me. I'm not the only one, and it's not my fault. It's the moon.
I like that one a lot.
Bringing in the story element. Telling
Oh,
the
hell
story.
yeah.
I like
Oh
that.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's like you went through a story for sure.
Let me see if I can name all the movies, right? So you had Texas Chainsaw Massacre in there. You had Halloween in there. You had, let me see, I Know What You Did Last Summer. That was one of the first ones. Let me see. Somebody else help me out. There was a couple more in there.
Oh, yo, that is wild. I didn't even pick that up.
I didn't even pick that up. That's tight. I was thinking like, the moon is where we get the word lunatic.
Yes.
So there's that connection.
Oh, yeah.
Well, a lot of it came down to like every time there's a full moon, motherfuckers just be going crazy. It seems like all the time, like they just lose their minds and shit. So I'm like, this is the perfect opportunity to play with, especially like all the spots I was listing off in that, like it's telling a story that's like real places here in Lansing. And like, I love doing that type of shit. So like all the local homies, when they're listening, they can like literally picture this whole story. And like, if you were to listen to that song and walk around Old Town, you can like follow the river trail I'm talking about, chasing this bitch up. You can go like smoke weed by the fish ladder where I talk about finding her body and everything. Like, it's all like real ass 100% places that I just like fantasize about.
Would you consider that Bambam as sort of a manifestation of the dark carnival onto Lansing? Because that's really what I took from that. It was the dark carnival, so the hermeneutic of horror, of horrorcore, maybe you could say. So you're making the homies go through the dark carnival. You're taking the carnival to them.
Absolutely. So that way the streets they walk every day have like a whole new way of looking at them. it's not as boring anymore when you're walking the river trail and you're like thinking of these lyrics of all this shit that I just did to somebody talking about this exact spot you're walking on and shit. I'm like, it just brings a whole new element to it.
It's like the upside down. Make it a portal.
Right? That's one of the things I always liked about old ICP back in the day too. Like I wasn't even from Detroit, and these motherfuckers made me want to go to Detroit to see all these spots they're talking about.
For real. Like that's why I want to go to Hallowicked, you know, just so I can see like Military Street and you know all the different Fago as well. Every time I meet someone from Detroit, I'm like Fago, and they're just
So
like.
my first time in Detroit literally was like, all right, I'm driving all these spots I've heard in songs. Like I went and checked out Military. I'm riding around Southwest. I've been through Clark Park, all that shit. I did it all in like a weekend just because I was like, I need to see it all.
Bro, I feel the same way about that I do with The Office. Like I want to go to see Scranton. It is crazy because ICP's in The Office. There's a poster of them in it, so it's kind of like full circle.
It's funny you say The Office because that's literally what was on the TV before I came in the bedroom tonight.
Oh, I wonder what episode it was because there's an episode with ICP in it.
It wasn't that one. It was one of the super early ones because I just started watching on Peacock the whole like uncut season version. Because I'm like, I done seen everything that exists that I give a fuck about. It's all background noise anyway, so I might as well put on the 4 minutes longer episodes.
It's all background.
Are you serious? There's a 4 minute longer episode?
Yeah. There's a whole season of extended ones.
Holy shit. Thank God. Like I got something to do now.
Something I wanted to ask. Would you meditate at all?
I need to.
Oh.
And I get told that a lot because I don't sleep very well. I'm stressed all the time. I really need to get into it. I've been told by multiple people.
Okay.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I was wondering if maybe it's part of like magical practices or anything for you.
It sounds like singing is your meditation.
Oh, that's...
In a lot of ways, I guess it could be, but it doesn't do it. I don't know what peace feels like. And it's something I've talked about a lot. Like, I try not to be negative all the time and shit, but it's always chaos in my head, like 24/7. And I'm just like, I feel like meditation might help that.
Oh, for sure, for sure. It's like letting go. Like I feel like that like ICP, they got the acceptance thing, right? Think about that. Think about right. I could do it. Like I could be myself. That's letting go in a sense. That's a spiritual principle, right? And that gives and people find that in church, in temple, or whatever. Like letting go. Letting God, I find it in recovery. That's like a famous saying, but it's the same principle. Letting go, like acceptance. Like you know what? Fuck it. Fuck the fuck. I'm gonna let go and just do.
Right.
And that's a spiritual principle. And one of the things that I think that's lacking is forgiveness as well, because people think forgiveness sounds like not something a warrior would do. A hatchet warrior would do, but it like forgiveness is such a spiritual element and for yourself as well, and that's something that I learned is forgiveness for like especially with my dad, forgiving him. A lot of my anger was him, and like I could still see like Violent J still pissed off at his dad, you know, with his music. And I think forgiveness, and I think that they're going to be adding those elements into their music because Shaggy's in recovery now.
Right.
So, like, if you're in recovery, you're going to find like, yo, that's the main thing is forgiveness. Like the Lord's Prayer, you know, I do that at my
right. I mean, to an extent, you also can't let nobody just walk all over you and just.
For sure, 100%, no doormat. Yeah, and like forgiveness doesn't mean that I am going to allow them to do that or whatever.
Right.
It's just energetically. Like,
Well, yeah, it can move the fuck on from you. But if you harbor that energy, it's just gonna cause your own bullshit, which is too much negative at once. It's just gonna tire you out.
Yeah, absolutely though. Like no doormat, and that's kind of where like the term kind of gets kind of like, oh, that's some pussy shit, you know. But it's not though.
I was wondering, Bambam, if you've ever heard of anyone or yourself meditating using the the cards from the Dark Carnival, the Joker cards.
I've not, but that would be interesting.
I think it would be interesting just because they are archetypal. It's like people do meditations on the tarot all the time.
Yeah.
And you can use it's very chaos magic to be able to use sort of pop cultural images. So it could totally work. You could figure out a way to make it work.
Especially because it's said that Violent J saw these cards pretty much like not necessarily meditating, but they came to him in visions and shit. And if that theory is true, then that could mean a lot more to it than what anybody even really knows.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's totally where I am.
Jin, that's wild to think about, because what like juggalos do, when you find some juggalo homies, you go to the crib, to the basement, to the living room, and it's all the black light Joker card, and you just smoking blunts, right? Which is a form of meditation, right? Everybody's like smoking weed and drinking, whatever, and then listening to the music and all the posters of the Joker cards. So it's somewhat like not like it's in a sense like a meditation. So that's a crazy thought. I gotta write that down.
I could see that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like an altered state, and then you go through the doorway of your own perception, your own consciousness, like very lunar, right? And you visit all the 17 Jokers, and you do it in like the state, like Adonis describing, in the black light. And I mean, I'm not saying do it with like weed or alcohol. I mean, to each their own. That's really fine. I'm just
don't
saying
do that.
I think
I'm not promoting that.
I think there is a way, because I don't meditate with weed myself, but I do smoke. But I just think that that's an interesting way to think about it, because it is very similar, I think, in Tantra to like Buddhist Tantra. I find a lot of similarities with the Dark Carnival and this idea of the great cremation ground, like where the world is. So I feel like there's a very deep connection, and even his dreams of it, like we have a tradition of dreaming sadhanas, or dreaming like meditation practices. They're called termas. Obviously it's not just everyone who does it, but like a great teacher will sometimes dream of these things and then write it down and then pass it on to students. And so to me, that does sound, even when I first heard it, when Nick first asked me to do the Juggalo series, I even thought that.
That definitely makes sense.
I just looked up what the name of a 17-sided star is, and it's a heptadecagon. So if you could make like a heptadecagon ritual, that would be badass. With the 17 Joker cards.
It literally sounds like you hiccup trying to say something.
Well, if you play the game Morden's List, which is a Juggalo game, I wonder if it is a heptadecagon, which is a dice.
I never played it. I wasn't super into the gaming stuff. I wish some of my homies were on here, because I got some of the boys that are super into that type of shit, but I tried. I can't sit down that still for a game.
It happens. There's one thing I did want to I guess another thing. I mean, again, like Darby said he didn't meditate, but he did say he saw the eclipse. Do you ever, like, when you close your eyes, have you ever seen an eclipse?
I mean, I don't know if it would necessarily be an eclipse. I do see the spots and shit. And, like, I hear things all the time. That's been ever since I was a kid. And that's whether I close my eyes or not. And on the one hand, I'm like, maybe it's some fuck shit. On the other, one of the things I've talked to my wife about, she's entertaining the kid right now. But she's like, you ever think it's not even a mental thing? It's all the stupid shit that you fucked with, not knowing what you were doing. You might have a few things attached to you.
Maybe open a few things up too.
I really don't know. And if that's the type of thing, maybe they've been helping me at this point. So I'm grateful for that if that's the case.
Yeah, it could be. Who knows? Could be plenty of different things. I'm gonna bring this up too. I mean, I don't know if there's really anything behind it, but I was gonna ask anyway. And unfortunately, this is probably like the best option that I have. For the logo, because the other ones that I have, for some reason, when I put them up, I guess because they're transparent, they show up as black, so it's really hard to see it. But your logo, is there anything like behind that? Occult? There you go. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, this originally it came up like how I was saying that me and my friends were doing music way back in middle school days. Originally, when we were doing stuff as the Juggalo kids, we didn't really fit in with none of the other normal like rap groups and shit like that. So we were seeing like something different. And in our area, a lot of that was gang members. So there was a lot of Crips, there was a lot of Bloods, and the Crips were representing the 6 point star, the Bloods were representing the 5 point star. And we're like, if we're gonna be involved with shit, we don't want anyone to think we're anything to do with them. So we're like, we're just gonna make our own shit. And at the time, we had this metalhead homie that hung out with us. His name was Josh Wilson. And whenever he wrote his name, the W, it had pretty much like a pentagram that was like this. And we're like, we love that. If they're going to be the 5, we'll be the 6. And at the time we met on this bus. Our school bus was called 403. So 403, you put that together, you got 7. So we're like, we're going to just go under the 7 point star like that. And I've ran with that literally since we were kids. And I'm basically the only one that's still doing it. Like most of our old crew, like, they just stopped doing music. They went on to do other shit, stuff like that. I'm like really the only one that still reps it, but it's been there forever. So it's hard for me not to anymore. Like I even threw the 7 in my name.
Yeah. That's true. That is true. Right.
Yeah, I really am into numbers and all that. Like, if you see the movie Murder by Numbers, there's the poster for it, and on the cover, the E for murder is a 3, and numbers, it's an 8, and so it's a 38, and that number is connected to murder, and it's murder by numbers. So there's a lot of I'm like obsessed with a bunch of like stuff like so that's like. And so is ICP with 17. Like what going on?
One thing I did want to ask you too, have you this might be out there, I haven't actually brought this up in any other ones, have you ever felt like maybe you've had any out-of-body experiences or near-death experiences?
I feel like I may have had some out-of-body experiences when I'm on mushrooms.
Oh, okay.
Because I used to do way too many mushrooms at a time. When I feel like I realized this when I was in my 20s, that I think my teenage friends were trolling me. Because when I started tripping with them all the time, they're like, yeah, bro, you got to eat an 8th to even feel anything. So eat an 8th, wait like an hour. If you're not feeling shit yet, go ahead, eat another 8th. You'll be fine. And so I'd end up eating a quarter. At one point, I ate a fucking half ounce of mushrooms in a night. And by the end of that night, I was laying in my bed and everything went completely black. I couldn't fucking see literally anything anymore, even with my eyes open, but I could hear everything. And it was like the sounds of being in the back of an ambulance. Like I could hear this, like a siren, but it sounded like from inside. And I could hear doctors and machines and shit like that. And everybody being all like, he's not coming out of this. He's never coming out of this. We can't do anything. He's a vegetable, shit like that. And it scared the fucking shit out of me. And by the end of it, it went from being just like a blackout thing to I remember looking down on the scene like as if it was like a fucking video game. And I was playing like a third-person game. And I saw myself on a stretcher all like sprawled out like that. And I didn't do mushrooms again for like 8 years. And so I don't know if that was necessarily out of body, but I think it pulled me into some other fucking dimension that I didn't want to be.
That's wild. That's interesting.
I realized as I got older that if you start with like 1.5 grams, 2 grams, you can have a great night.
Yeah, you can easily probably start off with that and be okay.
That's what I generally do now. I do like 2 grams, give my wife 2 grams, and we're great. I'm like, what the fuck was I doing my whole life?
That's funny.
I really feel like they were trolling me back then, and I just went with it every time. I'm like, I'm starting with an 8th, shove a whole 8th in my lip, and just start chewing that shit up.
Gangster.
Why am I always bad tripping?
Wow, that's funny. Headless Giant Donut, did you want to ask him anything?
Oh no, I've had the same type of experiences too with the mushrooms. When I was like a kid in middle school with my friends, and we were all juggalos, and we'd go out to the park, and it was always fun. And it was always the 8th too. That's like what we always did in the golden caps and whatnot. This is back in the day or whatever. And like it was fun. I'm a little 14-year-old kid. Then the thing is that as I grew up, my ego and all this and all the gangster culture that was pushed on me, that I gotta be this tough guy, which I'm not. And I had this like in my head of like, And then I took some shrooms, and I was living in Sedona, and it's like this magical place, and I'm trying to be freaking Al Pacino, Scarface, you know, when I'm like this little scared little kid, like, and I took the shrooms, and it scared the shit out of me. And then I gave up everything except for weed and alcohol for years after that until I got sober. But I had that same type of experience that you're talking about. I also, I don't know, I feel like dreams sometimes are like out of body experiences as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can agree with that. There's even been times where I've been really sick as a child, and things got a little weird.
Yeah, when you're all feverish and shit.
Yeah. And you're like, yeah, I'm like, I'm somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird, for sure.
I was gonna bring in the fact that that sort of beat that you're using always reminds me of kind of a dreamlike structure. So, you know, you've always got those dreams where the guy is chasing you, and it doesn't matter how fast you run, he's always going to catch up. You know,
Right.
I get that feeling from your raps right there. So.
Oh yeah. Nah, I love that shit. That's what I feel when I'm writing most of them. Except I'm the one doing the chasing.
You're chasing yourself. You know?
Sometimes, yeah, that's when it gets real crazy.
Well, think about the famous painting. Speaking of art, in the art that's being created, in the screaming man, right, and the two people behind him, pretty much coming towards him. It's like they're chasing him in a sense. As well, in every single murder movie, like the horror films, it's all about being hunted. So there's this thing of being hunted. When the police car comes behind us, we all freak out. Like, I'm doing nothing wrong. I'm totally a law-abiding citizen. And
right.
I mean, I'm freaking scared. It activates my nerve. Like, I get freaked out because it's the same feeling of being hunted. Because that's what's happening. You're being hunted. In all these horror movies. And then him switching it around and becoming the hunter. Like, that's pretty gangster. Like, you know, as well. I had a dream once. Multiple dreams of being hunted, and every time I try to hurt the guy in my dream, I'd always wake up punching the pillow, just angry. But one day, I got the guy. I got the fucking guy, and I've never had the dream again. But this is the catch: is that fear of being hunted? When I became the hunter, the fear and anxiety was still there because now I'm like, I'm going to go to jail. So now it's like the same, the fear is the exact same, even though, but I don't have those dreams anymore, which is nice.
I wanted to ask Bambam what his influence is, whether musical or just artistic in general. Like, are you reading specific kinds of comic books or literary books or poetry or horror movies or whatever it is, or whatever you feel can like draws to both your aesthetic and your songwriting?
Weird. Well, a lot of it came back from basic, like we were talking a lot about like ICP. I came up listening to a lot of that coming up. And like older Esham, Brother Lynch Hung, Flatliners, Gravediggers, shit like that. And all like this early era horrorcore shit that you don't really hear anymore. And even when these guys, a lot of them, when they put out something new, it doesn't have that same feeling to it. So I try to replicate that. And a lot of it too is like, I don't watch a whole lot of movies because my attention span doesn't let me sit there for that long. But the ones I do like are always like, basically like my comfort movie is the original Halloween. So I like to emulate that feeling within my music, like the feeling, and not even just the slasher walking around, but like the whole environment, the orange leaves, the fucking, like just the feeling of Halloween is something that I'm just obsessed with. And I wish it was every single day of the year. And I really try to portray that with what I'm doing. So that's a lot. The face paint too is like a nod to the Juggalos and the Halloween. And I want it to always be that way. Like jack-o'-lanterns everywhere, every day. During the summer, watermelons are just summer jack-o'-lanterns, and people won't accept that.
Summer wing.
I also wanted to just point out that, or say this to you, Bam Bam, that I respect that you recognize that magic was kind of
at least the magic that you were doing, like when you were young, because I can relate to that very well, was kind of fucking you up and like affecting your life, and you kind of recognize that and were able to like say, okay, it's time to change it up, like repair my karma, like let things come and go now. And yeah, so much respect for that, because I have the exact same story. So I mean, not exactly the same, but it's similar.
Yeah. Well, it's, I always feel like good or bad, if magic's involved, as soon as you start trying to say it wasn't, that's when you're fucking yourself. Like, you gotta own up to that shit. And so whether it is used in what I'm doing currently, or if it's just what's tracking me from what I did in the past, I know it's in there somewhere. And if I was to ever go against that, then that means that I'm fucking going against everything that it ever stood for, which is just gonna fuck me over again even worse.
Gotta let it flow somehow.
Exactly.
I wanted to throw in there that the heptadecagon was the first progress in polygon construction in over 2,000 years, made by Carl Friedrich Gauss in 1796 at the age of 19. So this kid made that sort of 17-pointed figure, and it was the first progress in 2,000 years. So that's kind of interesting. I thought I'd throw that in there. But the 17 number, I think, can be applied in so many different ways that still has yet to be explored, you know?
Right.
For sure.
Well, actually, I thought there was something really interesting when Donut brought up the game. I know you said you weren't really into gaming, Bambam, but there is dice divination. So, you know, like maybe there is a way to repurpose the dice from the Juggalo game into a magical tool.
It would absolutely make sense. And like, I had a lot of friends that were into D&D, so I know there's so many different sided dice you can get.
Yeah.
Like, I know for sure up to 20, because everybody knows about a fucking roll of 20. So I'm assuming there's a 17 one.
Would make sense.
If not, they need to make one.
I like it. What else I was gonna ask? Oh, what kind of what other like kind of like influences? Were you ever like kind of influenced by like Latin American like witchcraft or occultism?
To an extent, mostly just on the imagery.
Okay.
I've always really liked, especially like the different types of masks and stuff that they have. Like, I've always thought they were beautiful. Even as I was like a teenager in my first apartment, my living room had a bunch of those different masks, like them Haitian masks that are long and they're all painted and everything like that.
Gotcha. I have seen, or I think, seen a lot of influence in that in Chapter 17 in Psychopathic Records. Certain artists, I have noticed them talk about Latin American witchcraft more specifically than anything. So I was just wondering. Yeah, I thought maybe it was an ongoing thing with most of you. I don't know. What other kind of like? Was there any? I know you said the woman, your girlfriend now, your girlfriend. I'm sorry, wife, right? Wife.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. She's into witchcraft, correct?
Yes, she is very much into it. She does tarot readings for people. She's mostly a kitchen witch. She does a lot of healing stuff.
Oh, okay.
Like,
I know what
she's at one point, one of our boys was like dying from COVID, and she made him a fucking soup, and he ate the whole thing of soup, slept like 18 hours, and woke up feeling great. She's healed like 2-degree burns on my hands. Like, I laid my whole hand on a flat top at work one of my first weeks when I was working there trying to clean it. My shit slipped off and landed on it, and it all bubbled up. And she healed that shit, not even a scar, nothing. Just this cream she makes. I don't know what the fuck it is. She does some shit with like candles, and I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
But she's super deep into that type of shit.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
She's also where I got the whole, like, I was doing dolls and shit long before her. She's what turned me on to jars. I've only seen her do it once in the 7 years that we've been together or whatever, but somebody really pissed her off to do that.
Yeah.
That's what you were talking about in that first song, right? All the sharp things in the jar. Hell yeah.
Yep. That's the shit I learned from her.
It's kind of like some like Hoodoo type stuff, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've done a lot of stuff with like jars with like herbs and oils and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can make money jars too, not just for
for
enemy purposes.
Oh no, all sorts of different types of stuff for sure.
Yeah,
for sure,
100%.
Yeah, I wasn't using it for that either, actually.
Oh, I didn't think so.
Yeah.
I was just joking.
Yeah.
I used to do money jars though. I totally did do that. So, but I've done the other kind too. I just
My first candle magic was a money candle. But I mean, unfortunately, it was like due to the situation. Like I admit before, like, you know, on the show that I was in the OTO for a minute. It was like one of the first classes I went to there was like candle making class. And they said they picked like a money candle as like, you know, you ended up going home with your own candle and everything that you made. They figured like nobody would have a problem with like that. You know what I'm saying? Like if you were told like, okay, today's class, you're going to make a money candle. Nobody's going to be like, oh, well, you know, I don't agree with, you know, whatever. Everybody wants fucking money. So nobody's going to bitch about making a money candle. And nobody did. So like that was like the first one that I ever made. It was kind of cheesy, but yeah.
Hey man, nothing wrong with that. See, that's the thing. I think a lot of witchcraft gets sort of like downplayed. But the fact of the matter is, if you can start attracting more and better things into your life, anything you can do is a good way to go.
Yeah, like why wouldn't you?
Right.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes I think it's even just like a mental thing where you just put yourself into like kind of acquiring what you wanted from anyway.
It's convincing yourself that possibilities exist.
And then manifesting it until it happens.
Right.
You know, and see, that's like a thing, and like, I say that's a lot of stuff with magic. I really don't want to try to get into it too much. But it's like just being handed a possibility is sometimes like magic in a sense, you know? So like it's kind of funny how it's like instead of Tavistock handing you a possibility, you're handing yourself a possibility. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That like opens up doors for you some other way.
Yeah, well, I love that, Nick. I think that's great. Like you have your own will that you're going to choose the outcome, or at least like define the outcome for yourself rather than someone manage it culturally for you. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Right. That's like you're the god of your own realm. Like you're gonna make it happen. Fuck waiting for it to happen.
Yeah. Well, that's why I even say sometimes a true magician is like somebody who has a GPS to just get to. Like, if this is a problem, I have another way of that I'm going to get to where I want to go. I'm going to get there. I just may not have to go the same way that I could have gone 3 months ago. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, but that's sort of what rap was. I mean, if you look at ICP and you look at all the rest of these bands, like they were handing themselves a possibility, you know, and that's sort of the direction a lot of people have chosen to go because it is a different outcome of their lives that they didn't have before. So I think that's really one of the big powers of music.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. I mean, that is even one thing you do even have to hand them, even if like people aren't really that much into them. Is, I mean, those motherfuckers have been around for a while. You know what I'm saying? And like, they are very self-made. They're very self-made. And yo, I'll be even honest. You go and look them up. You're like, wow, they're really not like. You'd be like, wow, I thought they were worth more than that, probably. You know what I'm saying? I'm just keeping it real. But they've definitely done a lot of stuff. They've been in a lot of shit, dipped in and out. You know, wrestling, this stuff, that stuff. It actually is kind of impressive, tell you the truth. I mean, they've done it for like 30 years. They finally walked down like the red carpet this year on some awards.
VMAs.
Yeah. So, I mean, they've even. I mean, some of the people that they've even done like 8 Ways to Die with and stuff like that. I mean, and some of the collaborations. I mean, they do get recognition in the rap scene. Believe it or not.
They're popping up in the media world left and right. Like even outside of music, from like different shows on Comedy Central, almost every show has ICP references nowadays, like at least once.
Yeah, no, it is a definitely got something going on there. It's very magical.
They the money system in the show, that secret society show. They are in control of world finance. You know what I'm talking about? On Netflix.
Oh, was that the one that had the guy from Austin Powers in it?
No, that's the Pentaverate. I think it's the cartoon, the conspiracy cartoon made by the Disney guy that made the Disney cartoon with the Illuminati pyramid and the Shriner guy? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, actually,
I saw the first episode. This guy was out there on the White House lawn. He's screaming conspiracies at people, and everybody's like, "Ah, you're just crazy." And then he gets into an underground tunnel. He's actually the director of the conspiracy underground.
Oh,
really?
shit.
Yeah, it's like the revelation of the method. Here you go.
Well, so
Right.
check this out. Like ICP in the show, that was put on by Disney. Disney put ICP on the map with the Great Belinko. I don't know if you know about this.
Yeah.
But that and then
And
there was
immediately took it off the shelf.
immediately took it off the shelf. All their hard work. These guys are entrepreneurs, and that's what I was trying to say in the early with the Ayn Rand kind of thing. Is that they're entrepreneurs. They have a playbook of how to achieve your dreams through work and hard work and all of that. And that's what it's all about, is taking action. And so these guys have been taking action independently for their whole career. You could watch it, and if you get the chance to watch it, it's pretty amazing. It like them at the VMAs, like it's nothing but this like feeling of like, man, that's dope. But I think that there is a dark agenda of why they are now being allowed in the VMAs, which doesn't. I feel like they deserve them flowers, like they say on the Drink Champs thing. But I think that there's been the big divide in the Juggalo world, which is natural. Like any artist, you get a band together, they're gonna have a fallout, right? But when they get together, they make beautiful psychopathic Rada and Dirte albums and music. But since there's this divide in the Juggalo world, as a conspiracy theorist, I think that there is this little weak moment where influence could come in. Because why the fuck is Travis Scott, part of the Kardashian clan, wearing ICP stuff, right? This is the mainstream. But I can be an old boomer, you know what I mean? Like, that I don't understand what's going on.
We live in clown world. They won.
That's true, yeah.
A long time ago, they said, "This is our world, get the fuck out," and now they meant it.
Oh, yeah, this is our world. This is our world. This is our world, so get the fuck out. And also, they are like, the whole like idea of ICP in the lore of the Dark Carnival is that the Armageddon is coming, and it's the end. And like they sort of have this philosophy of, oh, I don't give a fuck though. Like, it's that letting go philosophy. It's like, oh, okay, we don't die, we get high, we don't die.
But
you know,
fuck it is what it is.
So there's this. That's like an energetic let go. Like, okay, I'm gonna accept what happens. I'm gonna accept that the end of the world is here. And that helped me when I was a kid process the fear of growing up in Las Vegas. Because I was so scared of death and people and fighting and all this that was happening on a continuous basis, that if I could remove that fear, and now I get that with my recovery and God and whatever. And that it was the Six Jokers card, the unveiling, was kind of cool, like spiritual switchover there. What's your take on that, Voodoo?
Honestly, as a kid, that was kind of the point that I was like, I don't know that this is actually what they meant the whole time. I feel like something changed around the Great Malenko, and their path kind of went a different way than what they originally had planned. I don't necessarily think it was the same thing. I do appreciate what they did. They definitely brought the family together and shit, but I am curious to know what the original plans were. Because I don't think it was all like the carnival is God, we've always been behind him, we hope the juggalos find him thing. Like, I feel like there was something else to it. And then when they got put on the stage and it's like pretty much time to unveil it all and say what it is, they went a different way.
Oh, okay. Like the story kind of changed. You know, that's probably what did happen. I mean, that's life. Life, we all be like
right, and that doesn't mean that they don't thoroughly believe it and stand by it. Things could change. Like you were saying, they started this in fucking the early 90s, like 91 when Carnival dropped. And then by the time the Wraith dropped, they might have been different people and thinking things differently.
That is really
I love their swag right now. Like, I feel like the swag, Violent J's. I don't know if it's his wife, but his girlfriend. I just like that their style, the swag. It's a really cool era that's happening for them, and they deserve it.
I love that he's getting so much into his wrestling again, though. I know that's like a big thing he has love for. And I got to shout out my brothers in the Midwest Misfits who have been throwing on a bunch of this JCW shit as of recent. And he's starting to really get to like build that into what he wanted it to be like years and years ago. Cause like he's kind of stepped back from music for the most part. Like usually you'll see Shaggy doing tours now. Every once in a while you'll see Jay on the road, but nowhere near as often. And I feel like that's because he's really focusing on this wrestling shit and he's loving it. Like he's making it a lot bigger than it ever has been. It feels like they're about to be streaming it and shit like that.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's what they wanted to do. Like they were, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah. It's such a cool thing. The sobriety thing is really what gets me like, jumping up and down too. And it's so interesting. The whole Juggalo world is, people don't understand it, but when you're in it and you live it, Juggalos understand each other. It's kind of it's a weird thing, you know what I mean? And like you were saying, like at my bar mitzvah, I had ICP playing, and this was back in the day, you know. So they wouldn't allow cuss words. The DJ would not allow a curse word, and you couldn't even buy an ICP album because this is before digital. This was when you had to have CDs for DJs, and they played ICP because I was like what I wanted. And so like coming from a Jewish background and people coming from a Christian background, my Juggalo friends were Mormons out in Vegas, or Christian as well. All these different eclectic backgrounds, but all have the same kind of wanting connection, of belonging, and even ICP says that I don't know if you ever heard the sampler of Bizarre sampler, the song Simple and Blunt.
Yeah,
that's my favorite song, bro. Like that song's so good, and it's not on like it's not out there. It's not like on an album. It's on that.
No, they like to sneak that in with shit once in a while, like little random singles they throw on a sampler you'd only find there type shit.
That song really it's everything you're saying. Let us do the killing for you. You'll be all right. Seriously, ain't you the least bit curious? What's up with this underground world? We're getting furious, just like this sampler you bumping right now. You know, I know all the it's weird because I know all the ICP songs, and they're stuck in my head. What's up with that? Like, you know, it's crazy. Like the memory thing, like remembering all the words.
Right. No, somehow it does stay stuck there. It'll be songs I haven't heard in fucking years. I'm standing there at the gathering watching them perform it, knowing every word all of a sudden again.
I'd be able to probably do that with like most of the Great Malenko.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if I put that on and it was like driving in the car.
Right. It'd be like, you don't think it, but as soon as the beat hits, you're like, I know every fucking word.
Yeah. When I was like, I forgot how old I was when that came out, but it was like fairly new. You know, I was playing that shit, neither me or because of all of my friends that were either juggalos or just big into ICP. That album was like constantly being played.
That was a banger.
Yeah, no, it was really good too. I actually really liked it. I really thought that album had that
game, Boogeyman,
Holes of Illusions.
Yeah, Hocus Pocus. Yeah. Halls of Illusions.
I really liked the last song actually on that album, which I thought was pretty badass.
Yeah.
Pass Me By, right?
Pass Me By?
Yeah. That was actually, tell you the truth, that was probably one of the songs I was like, actually, these guys aren't that bad.
Right? They give you a second to actually feel and not just on some crazy carny shit. Be like, damn.
Yeah,
like,
I was like, yo, this shit's okay.
Have a little bit of a conscience.
Yeah.
They you know, take me Riddle Box. They got the Take Me Home at the end, and they usually perform that and I gotta be at the gathering, throwing Fago, Take Me Home, bro. I had a spiritual friggin' experience. It was amazing. I had about 2 years sober. I'm out at the gathering because I'm friends with, I don't know if you're friends with Scotty D and all of them. They're little probably.
I know Scotty D, Fago lovers and all them.
Yeah, so I did a lot of like edits for them. Like I edited the all their interviews with ICP.
Word.
So like you'll see it. It says donut, but I have it real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Like but this was before I had a channel. But I gotta go on stage because they invited me on. I filmed the freaking interview with freaking Violent J, Young Wicked. So that was
Pre-split.
Hiroshima, yeah. But bro, I met Violent J. I was on the tour bus, and he was so sweet to me. He gave me a hug. He told me he loved me a bunch of times, and I was starstruck. I couldn't say a word to him. So I just looked at him and I said, "Hey, Joe, I'm a big fan." I just was like, and he could tell like that I was freaking scared out of my mind. I even did video with Twisted as well, and I was scared as well. But there wasn't the connection with Twisted as with Violent J.
Right.
J, he just was, he like embraced me, hugged me, and it was really cool. It's really cool.
Oh yeah.
Thing happened with Tech Nine. Tech Nine, God bless him. He was really cool when I met him when I was like 12 or something at Wicked Wonka. Wicked Wonka, he was the opening act. Like no
That
one.
would have been when I wanted to see Tech Nine too, back in that day.
Oh, did you go to Wicked Wonka?
No, I wasn't around for that type of shit yet. I was still in North Carolina back then.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was tight. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
34 this year? Yeah.
So
I'll be 34 in October. Yeah.
Yeah, still young.
Okay. So we like the same age. Yeah.
Oh damn, both of you.
I have a quick question for both Bam Bam and Donut. Is that I asked this the last Magi episode, but what is your favorite kind of Faygo flavor?
That's kind of rough because I honestly don't drink pop anymore. I drink coffee all the time, but I do love Dr. Faygo even more than Dr. Pepper. I think there's just something about and it's harder to find though, which is sad because I live in Michigan where you can find 10 flavors every fucking store you walk into, but they almost never have Dr. Faygo no more. I'll fuck with Rock and Rye sometimes too.
What's that one called?
Rock and Rye.
Oh, okay.
Rock and Rye is like a cherry cream soda type thing almost.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we had a Myers Market in Las Vegas, and we would go there and get the 2 liters. I would say for me, just nostalgically, probably the diet root beer, since that's what they throw.
They throw on us back then.
Yeah. So like it did when you're at the concert, mosh pit, jumping around, having a good time, and then you get some of that Faygo diet. It tastes delicious, and you're just like, oh, it cools you off a little bit, but it doesn't burn the eyes for some reason. I think that's why they use that. I don't know.
And the diet ones were generally cheaper for them to buy in stock like that, from what I've heard.
Okay. Yeah.
Nick knows this. Mine is black cherry. I actually did the research for this question this past week. I texted him pictures of the ones I was trying.
Hell yeah.
Hilarious.
They have a green apple one that's out now that I'm looking for. I haven't found yet. But it came out for the season. I don't know if it's going to be permanent or just a fall flavor, but I'm going to be running around looking for that.
There's a listener who also has their own channel, but it's like completely different than like what I do. And they've been like doing the same thing with like sending pictures of like different types of Faygo that they're trying now. I'm like, yo, you're too funny.
Have you seen, Nick, the Big Money Hustlers?
No, I never saw that. It's funny. The dude who got me into it had that movie too, and I never watched it. I was like, all right, you got me at a concert, dude. You got me enough. I'm not sitting down watching a movie about it.
I know it's on one of the streaming sites because I made my wife watch it before the game.
I heard it's hilarious.
My wife's not a juggalo. She's married in. And so me taking her to the gathering, I'm like, I want you to be like kind of warmed into this to see what this is all about and shit. Because I'm like, you've been married to me. You see what I am, but I'm kind of antisocial and tame. I'm not out doing too much. I just chill at home. I'm like, some of these motherfuckers be rowdy, and I want you to see what you're gonna be in for, to at least understand some of the shit too. So I made her watch it, and she laughed quite a bit, but she was also like, "What the fuck are you doing to me?"
Oh wow. Yeah, well, the Misfits are in a scene.
Yeah, the Michael Graves era Misfits chilling in there at the fucking coffee donut shop.
Yeah, that the and I wonder if that's played a role because remember they used to call like they were like glaze your dead donut. I don't know. I think that was a person's name or something. So maybe that's kind of where I got in my head because you know how all these words kind of just roll with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have the donut shop with the Misfits. I don't know if you know the story behind all of that. Have you read Voodoo the book Behind the Paint?
No, I never ended up reading it. I at one point literally had it and I never opened it.
That book really was very inspirational for me to really understand business and it had a very strong, even the song Behind the Paint had a strong I don't know, impact on my life. And that book
Right.
did as well. Yeah, that book was cool. Because they talk about how they went to all the high schools and hand out flyers. They threw a dart at a map to go in Texas. And then that's where they
decided where they were going to do promo and drove their van out there and shit.
Yeah,
I remember I had the book during the day where I was like, I'm a collector. I got to have all this Juggalo shit. But that was also parallel to the time where I was like, I'm on drugs and being drunk all the time. So I'm not really sitting down reading a book.
It sounded like a good idea.
Right.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I got plenty of books I've done that with. Was there any other questions anybody wanted to ask before we, I guess we'll probably wrap it up soon. It's actually probably one of the more longer episodes like this. Jen, you didn't have anything?
I'm really good. Thank you so much, Nick and Bambam and Donut. It was great to meet you guys. And yeah, fuck yeah, woo woo.
Yeah.
Awesome. Woo woo.
Awesome.
Oh, do you got any projects coming up? Any shows or anything? Any collabs?
I'm always doing shit. We got coming up in October, on October 12th, me and my brothers in Acid Cult are throwing a show for our homie Nate and Amanda's Unholy Union. They're going to be getting married, and they're some of our biggest supporters, so we're doing a whole show celebrating them. And we got the majority of us repping on there. It's going to be going on in Lansing at Max Bar. Then come November 1st, I'm rocking with my homie Squint's record release back at Max again. December 5th through 8th, I'll be in Indiana for Jaeger Slam 3. I got a couple other shows that I'm not allowed to talk about yet, but I'm not taking a whole lot more this year because I really don't like doing too many shows. Because I'm not trying to oversaturate motherfuckers. Like, you see me once in a while. I'm an apparition. I'm not going to be there every weekend type shit. Yeah. So, like, in the meantime, I got my next LPs pretty much finished. I'm just waiting on the last little skit to get done by my homies, and then I'm going to press that up and put it out. And then before that's even released, I'm halfway through my next one after that. But the Rio Town Ripper is going to be coming out real soon, hopefully in the next month or so. And then by the time that's out, I'll be pretty much finished with the next one. I'm doing a couple group projects. Right now, one of them's being mixed. It's already all recorded. It's called The Clussy. It's me and my homie Midnight, and the whole album we're not even talking about juggalettes. We're talking about sexy-ass motherfucking clown chicks. Because you can't tell me sexy clown chicks aren't the shit. Like, they're amazing. So we did a whole album about them. Well, it's like a mix between EP, LP. It's like, I think, 10 tracks. We're just getting that mixed down. But, yeah, I got so much shit around the corner. I just basically got to polish it up and get it ready to go.
Oh, yeah. Good for you, man. Good luck with all of that. That's awesome, dude.
Hell yeah. When I was out at Gorefest, I shot a video for Rio Town Ripper with one of my homeboys out there, Dano the Errant. I've been saying his name wrong. I've known him for like 15 years, but it's just been online. And I read D-A-N-O and thought it was Dano. It's actually Dano. I'm a fuck up. But...
All right, yeah. And, all right, so Jen, Headless, you ain't got nothing left either? You good? And Donut, you're all right? Nothing.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
All
Thank you for having me here. This has been a blessing. Thank you.
Oh, no, definitely. Thank you for coming on, man. You asked a lot of good questions, and it was great to have you on, for real. It was good to have your perspective and even, just your experience with this stuff. Hell yeah, man. He definitely brought something to the show none of us could have. So thank you. And yeah.
You don't have every day to talk to another juggalo. It's very fun.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Hell yeah, I've had a good time with all of them that I've had.
And it's very inspirational. Bro, keep on doing what you're doing, man.
Hell yeah.
Thanks, and I appreciate it.
And so are all y'all. I listened to all these podcasts. That the solar one
man.
was really good.
Oh,
the
thank
one
you.
All the Magi ones, everyone you've been bringing on. I'll be up in the comment. I'll be just like, I really like what y'all doing. Occult Rejects and all that.
Thank you. And same with you, man. Definitely go check out his stuff. I do think people who listen to the Occult Rejects will definitely find some gems in Donut's work as well. I really do appreciate it. So I guess we'll wrap it up there. Again, everybody's links will be in the bottom. We'll have Bam stuff in there, Jin's, Headless, and Donut's links in the bottom. And that is the end of another Occult Rejects. And until the next one, everybody be well. Later.